Today I am going to go over my debt repayment for the month of February 2025. I did make some progress this month, wasn't as much as I would have liked because I had to buy a scooter or at least something to get me to work, and that made a fairly large dent in my budget. On the plus side, I did make all the minimum payments, and so things are progressing. Unfortunately, that does mean that I am probably about a month behind where I would like to be in my debt repayment now, at least a month behind where I was. And so I'm looking at a timeline of repaying my debt now by the end of July, probably. Who knows, something might happen before then and I can get things done faster, but at least it's still the summer and at least it's before the end of August when my lease is up in this apartment. I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Western Rise. Western Rise makes quality apparel for the modern one-bag traveler so they can carry less and experience more. I have owned their Classic Evolution pants for over a year and absolutely love them. The Classic Evolution pants are men's casual travel pants that dresses up enough to get through any meeting, yet is rugged enough for any outdoor activity. They effortlessly replace jeans, hiking pants, and dress pants, allowing you to carry fewer clothes and travel lightly. The Classic Evolution pants are lightweight, durable, and pack well. It's the perfect travel pants to have in your bag. If you are interested in trying out the Evolution pants or any of their other apparel, go to westernrise.com/ColinAdventures15 and use the discount code ColinAdventures15. You will get 15% off your order. Links are below. I think the biggest takeaway from this month is that my budgeting was actually fairly successful, despite the fact that I didn't make any extra debt repayments. One of the things that happens along the way of repaying debt is emergencies happen. In this case, it was kind of a planned event. I knew my work was going to move, and I knew that I was going to have to do something about the transportation once that happened. I just didn't know exactly when in the next 6 months that was going to happen. From what I had been told, I knew it was going to happen earlier in the year, so I basically just set myself up so that in the event that I did have to buy another vehicle, I would be able to just pay for it in cash and set my debt repayment on hold for another month. I think the best thing about it was that I just walked into the dealership and paid for this scooter. So that scooter cost me about $5,000. Actually, it cost me exactly $5,000 because that's what I negotiated. And that was the out-the-door price, including taxes, registration, all of that. It was exactly $5,000. And that's a lot of money. But I knew this was going to happen, and I planned ahead for it. Some things that I wasn't so happy about that happened this month was I did have to get an endorsement on my license, and that cost me probably another $500 on top of the $5,000. But now I can actually drive that scooter. And I also had to pay for the gear to ride the motorcycle, which didn't really cost that much on top of what I already had. I think that was maybe at most another $100. And the biggest thing that I did not like was that because I was busy doing the motorcycle endorsement class, the safety course, that meant that I did not have time last weekend to do meal prep. This weekend, I'm having the exact same problem. I have another week where I just don't have time to do meal prep. My diet hasn't gotten too crazy. It hasn't been exactly amazing, but it's been okay, kind of like it was before I started doing my more extreme meal prep. So for the month of March, my goal is basically to get back to where I was in January, where I'm making $3,000 a month payments on my debt. And I think it is absolutely possible. The nice thing about this scooter here is that it has barely increased my monthly expenses. I think insurance is going to cost me somewhere in the order of $10 to $12 a month, which is about a twelfth of what it was for my car when I had that. The scooter also gets 140 miles per gallon and has a 2-gallon gas tank. Even with my new longer commute, I can still probably go about 2 to 3 weeks without having to refill the fuel tank on this thing. And when I do, it's going to cost me less than $10. So I'm really kind of looking forward to that because that's just about insignificant compared to my budget. The other good thing about this is because my monthly expenses haven't increased and I'm just back to focusing solely on debt repayment, I now have a much larger range that I can, travel to for filming. And that means that I get to go on more adventures, and I don't really get to increase my monthly expenses very much, if at all. And because of that, that gives me more actual interesting videos to film, which I am very excited about. There is one expense that I do have to concern myself with, and that is going to be coming up fairly shortly. So this motorcycle, or scooter I guess, is still in its break-in period. I bought it with 300 miles on it, and the first oil change is at 600 miles. So I'm already halfway to its first oil change. I don't know how much it's going to be. I'm probably going to look into trying to do it myself if I can. I think it should be fairly easy and something that I can do here. But in case there are other things that have to be done to the scooter at that 600 mile service, that could get a little bit more expensive. Having said that, it's not going to cost anywhere near what it costs me to service my car. The other nice thing is that, unlike my e-bike, this scooter doesn't have a chain. It's belt drive because it's a CVT transmission, and so that belt drive, it lasts apparently about 10,000 miles before it needs to be replaced. So that's not something I'm going to have to worry about oiling. It just runs and does its thing, and I don't have to worry about it for another 11,700 miles. So that's not really on my horizon at the moment. So between the fact that I have a vehicle now, so I'm more able to go on adventures and film more videos, my expenses for the month are going to be super low again in March, which is going to be exciting. And I don't have any expenses on the horizon. I suspect I can probably make that $3,000 a month payment fairly easily for this month. So this is going to be kind of a short video because my biggest takeaway here is I prepared well for a known expense. I had that expense happen. I paid off everything that I needed to without going into debt. And on the next month, I'm back to making a lot of money with very little expenses. And that's all I can really ask for.